home. When this happened, it was only for a short period, not more than 7 days, called Saifiyya. All other payments are recorded in the captain's record books. Before the voyage starts with the captain taking the helm, the ship is loaded with food and supplies, which is mostly snacks, rice, large quantities of dried dates, honey, and sweet water. The anchor is lifted, commencing the departure to the dive site in a process called brecha. Brecha is the pulling of the anchor rope, which actually translates into the word short. Being close to the shore, the anchor rope will be at its shortest. This gave it the name that means short. The captain will then give the order to head to the dive site in the sea, saying "Dawar," meaning turn. The crew, in response to this order, will man the oars, chanting "Hoya, Hoya," or "Heya, ya Heya," until the ship turns into the correct direction. The Naham, or main singer, will chant the traditional songs accompanied by drums and the hums of the crew until the sail is fully raised. The ship sails to the dive site called Harit until the captain gives the order to balad, which means to check the depth of the sea and the type of sea bottom. At the proper depth, the captain orders the crew to lower the sails and to commence their dive. After lowering the sails, the crew will use the oars to get closer to the dive site until the captain gives the order to start diving. Experienced crew will pinpoint the location of the oysters and the divers will prepare to dive. The divers will plug their noses with futam, which prevents water from entering their nose. After the diver takes a few deep breaths, he dives with 2 ropes tied to his legs, the lida and the zabil. The zabil is attached to a piece of heavy lead to help him dive quickly. This weight is called hayir. The diver will release the weight when he reaches the sea floor, and the helper will then pull it in and hang it on the oars to be used for the next dive. The second rope, or lida, is about 18 meters long and is used to rescue the diver in emergencies. This is tied to a rope basket that is used to collect the oysters. The diver hangs it on his neck and he reaches to the sea floor and starts collecting the oysters. The diver usually wears short trousers called shamshul or an apron. If there are too many dole, which are jellyfish, in the water, the diver wears what is called a bedla. The bedla is a suit that covers the whole body except the face. This protects him from the painful irritation of the jellyfish stings. The diver also used al-khabat, which is a glove used to protect the diver from the sharp edges of rocks and the oysters. When the diver cannot hold his breath anymore, he will pull on the leader rope tied to his feet to signal the helper to pull him in out to the surface. The diver will take the basket off his neck, raise it up while his other hand is tucked to his side to help the helper pulling him up. He will rest in preparation for the next dive or the next tiba. Meanwhile, at the surface, he will hand the basket to the helper, who will empty it and return it to him. The Naham chants announcing the end of the dive. It is time to move to another dive site and search for the precious pearls of the deep. The crew mans the oars, ready to move the ship to the next site. This work continues from sunrise to sunset. At the night, the crew will rest after eating their dinner, which consists of rice cooked with date honey, a local dish called muhamir, which is often eaten with the fish that is available. The next day, the crew will open the collected oysters to extract its pearls. Each group will form a circle around a heap of oysters. Divers and their helpers will do this work, extracting the pearls. A knife-like tool called mafega, or opener, is used to open the oysters. One of the crew watch and collect the pearls, then hand them to the captain. The captain will inspect the day's yield in anticipation for Tawawish, the visit of the pearl merchants. The merchants are in constant search of the pearl diving ships. They would visit the captains to see their yields of pearls. The merchants would inspect the pearls and set price according to their size and color. The pearl diving season lasts 4 months and 10 days, and then it is time for the Ghafar, or the return. Both sailors and their families at the cities prepare to welcome crews home. Everyone gazes at the horizon, hoping to see the flags and to be the first to report the good news. Ships can be delayed a few days. During this nerve-wracking time, women will head to the shore in a women's demonstration. This involves certain rituals in their hope that the men will come back safely. The women would speak to the sea and beat it with palm branches. With good news comes happiness at last. The families come out to meet their men with joy on the shore. This marks the end of the season all over the Arabian Gulf countries. The ship drops anchor away from the shore. Then the crew uses a small boat to take them to the shore where their relatives are waiting for them. The crew would gather at the captain's house at the end of the season to receive their share of the money. The captain would deduct payments that were given prior to the season. The pearl merchant profession is a very profitable one. The merchants are usually rich and hold high status in society. This profession has its own rules and rituals that govern the relation between merchants, like the secrecy deal, which is highly regarded. There are many well-known and famous merchants who bought the pearls from captains and small merchants. After, they would sell them to Bahraini, Kuwaiti, and Bombay markets. Europeans like French and British would come to the region to buy pearls here. The pearl merchant is an expert in the type, size, and weight of pearls. They are able to estimate its value by inspecting the pearl closely and holding it in their fingers to determine its color, smoothness, and to make sure it doesn't have any imperfections. Only then can they determine its price. The merchant have special tools when they're buying and selling pearls for weighing and categorizing them. To sort and categorize the pearls, they would use a tool called tous, which is made of a number of gradient copper sieves, 7 in total. This is done in a very precise way to categorize the pearls clearly and correctly. The sieves are tapped slightly several times on the side so that the smaller pearls will drop through the holes into the smaller sieve. Drilling the pearl was thought to protect the pearl from breaking in the long run. Some people believe that the pearl is a living thing that will grow. Drilling it would stop it from growing. But drilling a dana, which is a large pearl, will affect its price. An undrilled dana will fetch a higher price. Johnny J. Lariner wrote in his book, A Guide to the Gulf, all Bahrain's pearls were sent to Bombay to be sorted and categorized in preparation to export it to the European markets and other destinations like Baghdad. Baghdad market preferred the white pearls and brought large quantities of the pearls at low cost. The yellowish pearls were popular in India and Turkey. The low-quality and defective pearls were sold in Iran and used to make ornaments and garments for both men and women. When the land and sand cannot provide a living, the sea contains many riches, such as the pearls. people of the Gulf have exploited pearls since ancient times. As the early pearl diving pioneers suffered and faced many dangers to discover the dive sites, they gained valuable experience. This experience made them aware of the source of the oysters, and it became as easy as finding their way home. When the pearl diving season ends, it marks the beginning of a new seasonal profession, which is sea stone collecting. The sea stones were used as a building material. Another seasonal profession was al-abra, which is transporting people between the islands in small boats. The crew also would practice fishing during spring and autumn when the climate temperature was moderate and the fish were abundant. Some fish are more abundant in the winter, like hamur, sharei, and shanad. Bahraini fishermen considered summer as a bad season for fishing, as the fishing yields were low. Sailors also practice masonry, which is a profession requiring knowledge in engineering and calculation. Names given to the pearl diving seasons differ. Some ships start their season before the pearl diving department announces the official beginning of the season. This is called al-khanchia. Others adhere to the official period. Some ships return to the dive site even after the end of the season. Sailors also practice pearl diving in the shallow waters near the shores in what is called al-mina. After the end of the season, the sailors would gather at traditional music houses, practicing their music to enrich their heritage. The divers practice lefjeri music. This music expresses their hardship in the diving season. The traditional music house was attended to by divers, sailors, to recite all kinds of traditional songs. It was a place full of traditions, especially known to the people of Muharraq and Bahrain in general, that is still practiced till now. The house was an old house with a large room, used by sailors to sing the traditional songs. They would begin the lefjeri, which would resonate a sort of sea calm in the house. The escalating hums with bitter taste of suffering will soon shatter the calm, making you feel as if you were on a ship anchored at one of the dive sites, or a diver trying to reach the bottom of the sea to pluck a pearl. Anyone listening to the symphony must prepare to be taken to a world full of variety. Tunes produced by the different musical instruments talk to each other in a magical dialogue that exists nowhere else. Many artistic feelings come together, producing the art called lefjeri. The night songs of the sailors were spiritual songs that helped alleviate their suffering. Each part of the symphony lasts about an hour, after which the music style will change. The lefjeri is split into 5 parts: Al-Bahri, Al-Adsani, Al-Hadari, Mukhulfi, and Al-Hasawi.
صافي ودادي لكم عز على الأمرار يا عضد يمناي وفرقاكم علي أمرار.
The lefjeri is the only song related to the sailors and divers. Its beautiful style accompanied by the naham, the lead singer who is able to spread the feeling of joy among the sailors. This man is a naham while at sea. He is able to sail the ship with his strong singing, or lead at the traditional music house. anchor is lifted, commencing the departure to the dive site in a process called barekha. Barekha is the pulling of the anchor rope, which actually translates into the word short. Being close to the shore, the anchor rope will be at its shortest. This gave it the name that means short. The captain will then give the order to head to the dive site in the sea, saying dawar, meaning turn. The crew, in response to this order, will man the oars, chanting The ship sails to the dive site called Harit until the captain gives the order to balad, which means to check the depth of the sea and the type of sea bottom. At the proper depth, the captain orders the crew to lower the sails and to commence their dive. After lowering the sails, the crew will use the oars to get closer to the dive site until the captain gives the order to start diving. Hoya, hoya, or heya, ya heya, until the ship turns into the correct direction. The naham, or main singer, will chant the traditional songs accompanied by drums and the hums of the crew until the sail is fully raised. Home. When this happened, it was only for a short period, not more than 7 days, called Saifiyya. All other payments are recorded in the captain's record books. Before the voyage starts with the captain taking the helm, the ship is loaded with food and supplies, which is mostly snacks, rice, large quantities of dried dates, honey, and sweet water. The anchor